What is up, everyone? I'm coming on here for a couple of plays for the day. Yesterday, we had some chances once again. Man, these four-mans are just not hitting for us. It's been very frustrating. It's been pretty brutal. We're probably on like the second worst losing streak that I've ever had in the past like 16 months I've been doing this, which obviously sucks. You guys will see that things are tracked as always, and you'll see, we're on obviously a dip here, and it's lasted for pretty much the whole August. What's crazy is the end of July. I would say like maybe July like 18th through the 25th, or like the 20th through the 27th, something like that. We actually had 7 days straight of four-mans hitting for us. So we had 7 days straight of four-mans hitting for us, and then we come into August. We have not hit a four-man in August, which is like insane to think about, because again, we normally hit one maybe every other day, maybe every 3 days, sometimes even every day. And I showed you guys yesterday just how unlucky we got. I really hate the word unluckiness, or just like thinking and talking about unluckiness in betting, but it's really hard to think yesterday was not unlucky. I mean, we missed Quinn Ewers by one. I went over the situation that he had probably one of the most insane losses we have ever had with Quinn Ewers. This guy also goes over by 0.5. This guy also goes under by 0.5. This guy was also a 3 out of 4. Like, we just had so much, so close, and we had really nothing to show for it. And, I always talk about luck and unluckiness, where, the luck and the unluck is eventually going to balance out over a longer period of time. If you think about flipping a coin, 5 times versus flipping a coin 500 times, if you flip a coin 500 times, it's pretty much going to equate to 50-50, where if you flip a coin 5 times, you might get 5 heads in a row, and that might be lucky to some people, that might be unlucky to some people, and, that is just how statistics work. But, it's hard not to be frustrated, guys. We had another pretty close entry here that, it doesn't look that close because we have 2 misses, but if you guys know how, we bet here, we bet with correlation, which means we have duos that we take to either go green together or red together. So you'll see the first side of this, I take the under and the over. This team right here that this guy was on, Wayne, ends up winning this game by a lot. So this guy gets 17 kills, while his counterpart, the guy who is playing against, only gets 9 kills. And then in Counter-Strike, you'll see what happens is you take overs together, because if it's a longer game, that means more kills. If it's a shorter game, that means less kills for everyone involved. It doesn't really matter what team you're on. Longer game means more kills, shorter game means less kills, right? That's why we bet on Counter-Strike correlation. And, if you don't believe me, you can actually go over here and you will see I ended up taking the unders in this game. And what ends up happening is these guys go way over because this game goes into overtime. So, again, it's like we are betting on things to go together, to go red, or green together. And we just seem to not pair up things that, end up going green, or red together, right? It just like, obviously we take the unders here, the overs hit. We take the overs here, the unders hit, because this was a shorter game. So, at the end of the day, that's sometimes going to happen. If you go back to this screen here, you'll see, Counter-Strike, we take the overs here, for example, and the overs do end up hitting together. And here's a good example of Counter-Strike actually hitting together on these screenshots that I have. And again, on this channel though, so on this channel that you guys have been following the past couple of days, we have actually just been crushing it, right? So it's kind of weird because on the VIP, having like probably the second worst loss streak ever, I would say the worst loss streak we ever had was back in April, and that was our first losing month ever. We have only had one losing month on this channel. It was April, and it was very, very similar stuff, guys. It was like we were so close, yet we were so far, and I feel like that's really the only way that we would ever lose, is like hitting things, but then they're just barely missing because of these insane circumstances that end up happening. But I will say, guys, we're only like 10 days into August. We're going to turn things around because preseason is obviously happening right now. We have a ton of League of Legends on the board. I know we can turn things around in August, and that is really my main goal, as I said. But like I said, also on this channel, we've been absolutely dominating it, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of last week we hit. Thursday, we unfortunately missed. Ashton Jeanty, make sure to look here that he gets -1 yards, -1 yards in this game when his line was 22.5. So keep that in the back of your mind. We hit on Friday, we hit on Saturday, and we hit on Sunday. And by the way, yesterday was obviously Monday, and this was the play that I sent out with crisp under 23.5 assists. And I said, I think he should be more like 20 to 21, and he gets 18 assists, so that's nice to see there. And then we have Paige to come in tonight and hopefully go over her points and rebound line that we took, all right? So we have another opportunity to go straight through. What I want to say, and I said this yesterday, is that if you go back to last week, okay, so like Monday through Sunday, we've hit 6 out of 7 entries. If you go back to the week before that, we hit almost nothing on this channel. We had some DMPs, we had some crazy stuff happen. Does that mean that 2 weeks ago when nothing hit, does that mean that we are just horrible sports bettors, and then this week now we're just insane sports bettors where everything, that I'm sending out and everything that I'm talking about is hitting. No, that is a prime example of what I'm talking about with this variant stuff, with this unluck stuff. We are literally playing the exact same type of entries. We're using the same sort of strategies, and sometimes things hit, sometimes they do not hit. That's why you need to track things over a longer term. Pretty much the main thing to look at here is last year, guys. We're doing a lot of the same stuff as last year, especially now that football season's upon us, and we went up 600 units last year alone using this strategy. All right, guys. So, I know it's hard to talk about these things when you're just down in the dumps losing, but I will say the winning is eventually going to turn, or the losing is eventually going to turn around into winning, and we will eventually be back at all-time highs. I don't know how long it'll take, but we will eventually get there. All right. So yeah, I know it's been rough, guys. It's been frustrating to say the least, but if you guys do want to get into the VIP, you guys can always text me the word BOVADA. Preseason is upon us. Preseason is obviously going to be happening these next couple of weeks. College football is happening in the next couple of weeks here as well, and then we obviously are going to be kicking off NFL season. If you guys do not know, I track absolutely everything. That's a huge part of this channel, very transparent, and what I do want to say is that last football season, we went up close to 300 units in college football, and then we went up close to 200 units in the NFL. So our best sport is college football. That is obviously not started for us yet. That's going to be happening in I think like the next 2 weeks, something like that. There's going to be college football happening, and that's going to be huge for us, obviously, because the start of college football always means good things for us. So very excited about that. Let's go ahead and get into the play of the day. All right, so here is the play of the day. If you guys have been following this channel last week, you probably would have known what I would have taken, and maybe you don't even know if Ashton Jeanty is up on the board or not. But I'm going to take Ashton Jeanty under 25.5 rushing yards. I think this is a smash hit of a play. I have no idea why the line would go higher. Why would the line go higher, right? This is what we hit last week, or technically it was the one play that we didn't hit. And I showed this, said to keep in the back of your mind, but Ashton Jeanty was at 22.5, and I thought this was a smash hit to take under. Why is his line now 25.5? It makes no sense because he got -1 rush yards. But if you guys saw last week, the line is not why I took it, right? It's not because he was under 22.5. It was because I think that he will likely get 2 to 4 carries in this game. If you don't believe me, you guys can actually just go see what he did last week, right? He got 3 carries for -1 yards. First of all, look at how many running backs this Raiders team has. Okay, they have, what is this? 8 running backs, 9 running backs that ran the ball. I know Cam Miller is a quarterback, but they had 8 different running backs in trying to run the ball here. And Ashton Jeanty is by far and away the number 1 back on this team, all right? Think about it. If you look at the Raiders depth chart, Ashton Jeanty's running back 1. Their running back 2 is Raheem Mostert. Okay, he's 32, 33 years old, probably on one of the last years of his career. And then the third string running back is Zamir White, who really has not done anything in the NFL either. Ashton Jeanty is by far and away the running back 1. They do not want to get this guy injured whatsoever. They don't even want to have a scare with him, okay? Not only that, if you look at the rest of this offense, other than Brock Bowers, I guess you could argue, he is their whole offense, okay? He is legitimately their whole offense, okay? Their best receiver is Jacoby Myers, he would be a receiver 2 on pretty much any other team in the NFL. And then all of the other receivers that they have are kind of okay to almost nothing type receivers. All right. They have Jacoby Myers, they have Brock Bowers, and they have Ashton Jeanty. Okay. Ashton Jeanty is going to be this whole offense. There is no reason why they should start him in the preseason. And when they do play him, they're going to run him, I think, at most 4 times. Okay, at most 4 times. And again, as I'm going to echo, and as I've echoed the past couple of days, does he have an opportunity to break out a 30-yard run, guys? Yes, he might run for 30 yards. He might have a 30-yard run in him, but is that going to be likely over 3 or 4 carries that they're likely to give him? No, probably not. If he only runs 3 to 4 times, again, and I said this too with, I think the RJ Harvey play or something like that, he is running behind a lot of times a backup O-line, okay? There's one unit that these GMs and these coaches do not want to injure. That is the number 1 O-line for the Raiders or for their team, right? They do not want to injure their number 1 lineman core, especially on a team like the Raiders that's probably going to run the ball a lot and give the ball to Ashton Jeanty and expect him to get between 14 to 18 carries a game this year, all right? They want to have him have a good O-line and have a solid core to run behind and not an injured core to run behind. So not only is this line higher than when he got -1, not only is he going to get 3 to 4 carries, I think, right? And I was right about Cam Akers. I was right about RJ Harvey. I was right about Ashton Jeanty. I was right about Caleb Johnson this week. And I was, who else was I right about? Woody Marks. Woody Marks was another one. So that is like 5 or 6 running backs I was right about last week. I took their unders in all of them, and they all hit. And all of them except, I would say, Caleb Johnson hit because of the reasons why I said, which was pretty much they were only going to touch the ball a handful of times, okay? Caleb Johnson was the only one who ended up getting a lot of carries, but what I learned from Caleb Johnson is he couldn't get that much production because he was running behind a backup O-line, okay? So again, I don't know why this is so high, and this is 4 days out, but we're going to wait 4 days gladly to take Ashton Jeanty under 25.5. I think by the time people actually start catching on to this, his line might drop all the way down to like 15 or something, guys. I think it could get as low as like 15 by the end of the week. So get it at 25.5, and this is going to be an absolute smash hit of a play, guys. Paul Skeens, obviously I didn't talk about him because he's the taco. If Paul Skeens is off the board, then take someone else, the next taco or whatever, and just pair it up with Ashton Jeanty. I think there's even a possibility where you double down on this and take Ashton Jeanty and 2 tacos today, because this play is just so good, okay? The only thing I'd really be worried about is if later in the week they announce Ashton Jeanty out of this game, and then now you have 2 DMPs for tacos, okay? So maybe don't do that, because I think there's honestly a chance where they just take Ashton Jeanty out and they're like, look, you're running back 1. There's no reason to play you anymore. So hopefully he plays in this game, and when he does, he will only get like 2 to 4 carries, like I said, all right? So maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I do think, I should be right about this, right? There's no reason why he gets 10 carries or something crazy like that in this random preseason game. So lock that in, guys. If you do want to join my VIP, if you do want to start getting my football bets, my esports bets, my correlated bets, and again, over the long term we do win, you can sign up for BOVADA, you can sign up for Novig, for better or for REBET, and get into my VIP completely free. It'll be at most a $10 deposit into some of these apps, but with these apps, they will actually double your first deposit match, okay? So REBET, for example, if you put 10 bucks in, you'll actually get $10 free from REBET, and as you guys will see, it is available in most states that you're going to be at least playing DFS on, okay? So gonna go ahead and end it here, guys. Pretty simple entry today, pretty clean entry, just like, not really that difficult to understand. We're just going to take Ashton Jeanty under as we did last week, and that should be a pretty easy win for us. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.